San Jose Barracuda defenseman Jack Thompson joins the show as we get to know one of the newest Sharks prospects.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today, we have San Jose Barracuda defenseman Jack Thompson, who Sharks acquired at this trade deadline. So we kind of get to know Jack Thompson a little bit, get to know his path, get to know his draft, how he played with Quentin Musty. So for at least a half a season, kind of some of his battles with now current Barracuda teammates. And of course, talk about the trade that brought him to San Jose. So before we get to Jack Thompson, do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And now we bring in one of the newest Sharks prospects, defenseman Jack Thompson. Jack, how's it going, buddy?
I'm great. How you doing?
Not too bad. I know you're getting settled into San Jose and probably enjoying some of the warm weather, which you did not have in Syracuse right now, I assume, and probably enjoying that. But I have to ask what I was asked. When did you realize that hockey could be like a thing for you growing up?
Well, that's a tough question. Definitely started really young. I think I was 3 years old when I started playing hockey. Typical Canadian kid, playing on my backyard rink, backyard ponds, stuff like that. But I don't think I really realized that it could be like a job for me until I was, maybe 15, 16, and kind of at that stage of getting drafted to the OHL. I think that's kind of when it kind of clicked a little bit more for me, and, definitely started working a lot harder at it and working in the summers and stuff like that. So I'd say right around there is kind of when I kind of had a little glimpse of it.
I assume basically every Canadian kid just has an outdoor rink at this point, because everybody I've talked to, every hockey player I've talked to is like, yeah, I started growing up skating. And is it just one huge rink, or does everybody have their own personal rinks?
Yeah, a lot of people have their personal rinks, and then I lived on a pond growing up, backed onto a pond. So quite often I was out there, grinding away till it was dark out. And I'd say, yeah, that's definitely where I learned a lot of my things.
All right. Growing up, who was your favorite player?
Growing up, I really liked Alex Ovechkin when I was really young. I loved the way he scored goals and celebrated. And then, once I realized I was a defenseman and I should probably start to pick out a defenseman, I really like Drew Doughty play. I like watching him play a lot. So, someone who I like the way he plays, so I watched him a lot.
I feel like a lot of guys your age, right? You had to pick one. It was either Crosby or Ovechkin, right? You kind of have to pick a camp of, are you a Crosby guy or an Ovechkin? I mean, both are great, but I think everybody has to pick a side. Picking Ovechkin, Fabian Zetterlund, Ovechkin was his favorite player growing up too. So you mentioned Drew Doughty. Is that the guy you try to kind of model your game after? Who do you try to be like, okay, this is the guy I want to eventually be like?
Yeah, definitely. I love the way he plays. He's a right-handed defenseman. Plays a lot of minutes, plays power play, defends his end well, plays late in games, up a goal, down a goal. So those are all things that I like to kind of pursue for myself. So it's definitely someone that I like to watch.
All right. Of course, you were part of the famous 2020 draft, which none of us kind of knew what we were doing with that draft, right? What was that whole experience like for you, especially going into it, having to do everything over Zoom, kind of all that? What was that experience like?
It was different. You kind of dream about going to the draft, going on stage or whatever happens there. So it was definitely kind of, at the start, I was like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. And then, I realized, it's kind of cool. You get to be at home. You get to be with your family. So it was kind of a interesting experience. I think they definitely made it work with the how it went online. I thought it was pretty well done, and it was still a day I'll never forget. So it was amazing.
Going into it, did you kind of have a feeling the Lightning might be interested? I assume you met with a bunch of teams. Did you have any feeling where you might go?
Yeah, I met with a lot of teams. I think I did have a pretty good feeling about Tampa going into it. I spoke to them quite a bit before the draft, so kind of had a little thought of them. But everyone always tells you anything can happen on draft day, so you kind of don't don't get too many expectations and kind of just go with the flow and enjoy it. So yeah.
Going into it, did you read your own scouting reports, or you kind of just you hang offline and just let things happen?
I mean, some things stumble upon you without even looking.
Yeah.
So I try not to. I definitely tried to just stay away from that. But we were also doing nothing during COVID for how long we're playing. So I was definitely on the internet too much in general. But I tried to stay away.
All right, and then of course with the OHL shutdown, you went and played in Sweden. I know a lot of the OHL guys went and played in Sweden. What was that experience like for you?
It was unbelievable. I mean, we knew kind of that the OHL wasn't going to start that year, so getting the opportunity, that's a crucial stage of our careers. Right after getting drafted, I wanted to play so bad. So we fortunate enough to get over there to Sweden and play over there. Is first time living by myself, well, with a couple buddies, but away from a billet family or my own family. So learned a lot there. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I mean, what's that like? You're what, 17, 18, moving to across, just to Europe and kind of just like, oh, cool. I'm an 18-year-old kid living in Europe, playing hockey for a living right now. That was basically your life.
Yeah. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds pretty crazy for most
Right.
people, probably. But yeah, I mean, it was unreal. The food over there was amazing. Teammates I had were really good. I didn't really know about English, how that would go, but everyone over there learned it in school growing up. So it was pretty smooth for us to get in there and get to know all the guys.
I think that's a weird thing about hockey. If you think about it, a lot of times where it's like you're pulling like 16, 17-year-old kids and just moving them around. Like that's a weird part of hockey, but it's the beast of it. So you of course played for the Sudbury Wolves before you got traded. Your final year in the OHL. You played with a certain guy that Sharks fans are very well aware of, Quentin Musty. He's pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, he's amazing player.
So I know you only played with him for half a season, but what did you think in that short time, even with Musty kind of being a young kid there?
Yeah, coming in my last year in the OHL, and he was a rookie that year, and he's the first overall pick, so obviously there was a lot of hype around him and our team, and getting to play with him was pretty cool. I mean, as a young kid, I think he was 16 when I played with him, and he was big, strong, powerful player, just like he is now. It was pretty cool. I knew he was going to be a really good player, and now you're seeing what he's doing in the OHL now, and it's pretty impressive. So I'm happy for him. He's a great guy, and yeah, I hope they do well in the postseason in Sudbury this year and try and get a championship.
Or if they don't do well, he could be joining you guys here in the CUDA here really soon as well. So just
Exactly.
saying, potential. No, we want all the kids to do well. So you mentioned the OHL, and there was a lot of you guys kind of the Sharks prospects. You played against Brandon Coate, Ethan Cardwell, Daniel Gushin at the same time. Now all these guys are your teammates. Who was the hardest one to play against? Especially all those guys are forwards. You're a defenseman. Who's the guy that you were like, oh, this guy?
It's a great question. I played Cozy a lot. Sudbury North Bay rivalry. We played each other quite a bit, and he was tearing it up my last year there. So he's a tough player to play against. All of them are tough players to play against. I mean, even my first year in the OHL, I played against Studnicka when he was on the Gents and Niagara. So kind of played against all of them, and they're all kind of different players, but they all have their own threats that got me a few times. That's for sure.
That Gushin shot is something, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, every time it comes off the stick, it looks pretty crazy. So, all right, guys, before we continue with Jack Thompson, get to talk about the trade a little bit, his time in San Jose so far, and get to know Jack off the ice a little bit. Just need to take a quick break. If you're trying to get tickets for whatever event, maybe you want to go catch a Warriors game before the season's over, go check out the Giants, whatever it is, you got to go check out Game Time. They have killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The thing I love about Game Time is you can actually see what your seats are going to look like. Nothing worse than getting to an event, realizing you have bad seats because you need to see what your seat's going to look like. Not that there's a bad seat at Oracle Park, but still, you want to know exactly where you're going to sit. Actually, the only thing that's worse than getting bad seats is when you go to check out and you get slammed with a bunch of fees. Game Time doesn't do that with their all-in pricing. You know exactly what you're going to pay when you go to check out. No surprises, no crazy fees, nothing like that. Game Time's got you covered. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Making the jump from the O to the AHL, what do you think was the kind of the biggest learning experience for you?
Tons of stuff. I mean, it's a big jump. I think for me, it was definitely the defensive side of the puck that I had to work on, and I was fortunate enough to have great coaches there, great older teammates that were defensemen that had either played in the NHL or now are. So I think just watching them kind of helped me grow my game, and through the course of that season, I felt my confidence grow quite a bit, and it was a really good year for my development.
And then this year, of course, you were named an AHL All-Star. What did that mean to you to kind of see that step in your career to be named one of the best in the entire league?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was, I wasn't expecting it. It was something that kind of came out of the blue. So for me, it was cool, just soak it all in. And, it's definitely nice to have that on your resume kind of. And, it was a great experience actually here in San Jose. So it was unreal.
I know, of course, in San Jose, it was the one weekend where it rained when you guys got here. But I mean, other than the rain, what was the All-Star experience like for you?
It was unreal. It was a very well put on event. We got to do the skills competition there and then play some 3-on-3. And, I think for me, it was a lot of fun just to see all the players around the league that you've played against or played against in junior that are in different divisions now that you don't see that much, or guys that are in your division that you don't know and you get to know. So it was a cool experience to meet everyone and to do all that fun stuff.
So, of course, right after the AHL All-Star was the NHL trade deadline, and you got traded to the Sharks, of course. Did you have any inclination that you could be on the move? Was it a surprise? Kind of what was that day like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise for me. I didn't anticipate it. Didn't even really think about it going into the deadline. So kind of caught me off guard. It's a big shock when you're this age and you get traded. So definitely shocked me. But, once I kind of realized what was going on and, talked to some people, I was really excited. So,
I mean, I know the Lightning have some pretty established, defensemen like Victor Hedman. They've got some guys who've been around for a while. Maybe with the Sharks, who are going through their rebuild right now. Did you think of it as like, oh, look, I'm going to have a possibility to kind of make an NHL impact rather than later?
For sure. That definitely goes through your brain a little bit. Tampa's been a really good team for a long time now, and they got some very good defensemen there. So I was just excited, for a new opportunity and a new organization to learn from. And for me, I don't want to think about that too much. It's more just play my game and learn and get better. And obviously, I want to play in the NHL as soon as possible. So just keep working, and hopefully eventually you'll be there.
You mentioned the NHL. You made your NHL debut earlier this year. What was that day like for you? Did you kind of were able to get family in town? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. I mean, I found out the night before, so I got down to Boston and met the team there, and my parents and were able to drive actually
Oh,
from my
boom.
hometown to Boston. I think it was like an 8-hour drive. So they got down there and were able to watch my first game, which is unreal. And people always talk about their first NHL game, and it's just a surreal experience that try and just soak up the whole day and all those moments.
Um, I know you and Cardwell, good friends. How excited was he? Like the first person to call you as soon as the trade went through?
Yeah. I think I talked to him probably 5-10 minutes after that I got the call that I was traded. So it was definitely a quick transition there to he was all pumped for me and excited to get back together. We played hockey growing up, probably 9 years together. So it was pretty cool.
Has he been showing you around town?
For sure, yeah. He's been showing me a little bit, showing me the golf courses and stuff like that. So it's been unreal.
I was gonna say, yeah, I hear he's very good at golf, and so I'm sure he's probably shown you all the good spots to play golf. And the weather is much better here than again trying to play golf in Syracuse this time of year doesn't sound like a fun time.
No, it sure is. Yeah, the weather here is unreal. I've really enjoyed it.
All right, another exciting Sharks prospect, Shakira Mukhamadullin. What are your thoughts on playing with him?
Oh, he's unreal. I got to watch him a little bit at the All-Star game. I didn't know him or anything. Haven't seen him play too much, obviously being in different divisions, but getting the chance to play with him here, he's an unreal player. I mean, so good at with his stick and all those offensive abilities that he has, and he's able to play defense as well. So it's definitely nice to be on the ice with him and watch him play.
I will say at the All-Star game, the pop he got when he got there because he was late, that was a pretty fun experience. I will say, just kind of seeing him get in there, especially with all the travel issues. But yeah, the hometown crowd gave him a nice little cheer there. So you've been in the Bay for a little bit. Favorite spot so far? Favorite thing to do so far?
Oh, I forget the restaurant I went to. I'd have to say for me, I'm living in Campbell right now, so just walking around here has been really fun. There's some good restaurants around here by the Prune Yard and stuff like that. So I'd say that's my favorite so far.
Gotcha. All right. Your game day. Are you a superstitious guy, little stitious guy, or let it flow type of guy?
I'd say I have a routine that I like to follow, but I'm not superstitious to where if I don't do something, it's in my head. I'd say that's kind of how I am. I like to do the same thing most times, but if something doesn't happen or I don't do something, it's not like I'm in my own head about it.
Are you like same, like got to do the right side first, then the left side, or you kind of, I know some guys are like that where it's like I got to put the right, like the right socks on first, right skate first, or no?
No equipment and socks, nothing like that. I don't have any superstitions with that.
Are you a headphones like to yourself guy, or are you kind of hanging around the room?
Hang around the room for sure.
Gotcha. Who's the DJ right now?
I think Nathan Todd is for the games for sure, and then everyone kind of grabs it on practice day.
Gotcha. Pre-game coffee, yes or no?
Yes.
Iced or hot, or it just depends on the mood?
Typically hot during the winter, but now that I'm here, I don't know. I probably need some more cold coffees going, a little more iced coffees.
All right. Are you a monster who does not wear socks with your skates?
No, I got my socks on.
Do you know people who don't wear socks with their skates?
Yeah, there's not many anymore. I used to. Yeah, I haven't seen one in a while.
Okay. They're a little weird, right?
For sure.
Okay. Last one. When you're not trading, your off season, all that fun stuff. What's your favorite thing to do in the off season?
Golf. Every day I'm golfing in the summer. I love golf. Played for probably my whole life. It's always been second to hockey. So definitely golf.
Gotcha. Can you beat Cardwell?
I can. Yeah, we have good battles in the summer.
Okay. Jack, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Hope to see you up on the Sharks here sooner rather than later, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, before we finish up and we looked at a projected Barracuda blue line and where like kind of some guys might fill in here, just need to take a quick break. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on the big upset or one seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to go use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. All right, guys. So thank you to Jack Thompson. Great time talking with him. Really excited to kind of see what he does. I think that kind of leads me into the final segment here today, and that's who's going to be kind of roaming this Barracuda blue line going in, into next year. And we are a long away. There's going to be a lot of transactions between here and now, and just want to, look at some guys who I think are going to be available guys. So I think we can kind of start with who's not going to be there, right? So Shakir Mukhamadullin, I think, is going to have every opportunity to try and win an NHL job next offseason. I really think he's going to be an NHL player next season, right? You've spent the entire year in the AHL. He's looked good. I think he is ready to play NHL games. And then kind of the other kind of big names you have Jack Thompson, right? And I think he's potentially kind of the next guy in line for the Barracuda to play NHL games, right? And I still think, though, with kind of where the Sharks are at with their kind of log jam, they're still going to have a bit of a log jam on the blue line, right? Because even if they make some trades this offseason, whatever, but you're going to have, you're assuming that you're going to have Matt Benning coming back, right? Who played a bunch of time. Ty Emerson, who is an RFA, but I think he's played well enough to, kind of warrant another, kind of picking up that option. Henry Thrun, who I know has struggled this year, but I still think there's time. I still think Henry Thrun is going to be a good player. Mario Farr is still going to be around. Mark-Edward Vlasic, Jan Ruda, those guys, he's still got one more year on his deal. Kyle Burrows. So, they're still going to, and then Kalen Addison, who's also an RFA. So Sharks will have some options there, but no matter what, you're going to need to, and then assuming Shakir Mukhamadullin, there just isn't a ton of spaces opening up on the San Jose Sharks blue line. So I think next year, Jack Thompson will probably start in the AHL and kind of go into that Shakir Mukhamadullin role of being the guy, right? Running the top power play, eating up big minutes, and then kind of getting his turn at some point to go up and play for the Sharks at some point next year. Other guys who are under contract that have NHL contracts, Nikolai Knizhov, who still will be in the last year of his $1.25 million deal. And he's played okay in the AHL, but I think he has gotten surpassed, right? Valtteri Puli, who, the Sharks kind of took a flyer on him. I still think he's going to be around. If he decides he wants to go home, he could potentially do that, but he's still in the ELC contract. If the Sharks want to, he still has a ton of flexibility and stuff. I assume he's going to stay, and I think he's played better at the end of the season. And then guys who are here right now, Artem Gurov. So he will be on the second year of his ELC. And I think he's, what Artem Gurov is. He's a very physical player. And I want to see him kind of continue to round out his game. And then Gannon Larocque, who will be on the second year of his ELC as well. He is also going to be, he's been struggling with injuries. Like he came into camp with, kind of still dealing with that hip injury. He took a big hit earlier this, I think it was January or February-ish. And hasn't been back since then. So I'd like to see him healthy and get a full season. Another guy, Jake Furlong. So his junior season ended with shoulder surgery. He'll be 20. I'm assuming he's going to be competing for a job to be kind of in San Jose next year. And the way he is kind of, we saw, especially in the Q, right? You saw the offensive output, but I think this last season, he's really focused on his defensive game, become a much more well-rounded player. And I think the offensive game is still there, but he's focused a lot more on trying to get better in his own end. And I'm really excited to see what Furlong continues to grow and to develop into. Another guy who's then a couple guys who are on, I'm not sure what their AHL deals are. Ethan Frisch, who is on, and Roman Canal, who are both on AHL deals now. Both those guys have played well for the Barracuda, and if they want to kind of keep those guys around to be, a little bit more of kind of a veteran presence, as they've played a few games here. Frisch, who's he's born in '98, so he's an old veteran at this point now. But he's spent basically the better part of 2 seasons now with the Barracuda. And again, AHL deal, he's on a 1-year deal. So the Barracuda want to bring him back, or if you want to kind of transition to some of these other guys, you can totally do that as well. But I think, and then the other guy is Luca Cagnoni, who, since he will have played, he's already kind of hit his WHL. Like he can go back to WHL for another season, or the Sharks can bring him in to play with the Barracuda. I think, especially if Cagnoni plays really well and continues to play well in the playoffs, I think it's a no-brainer to give him his ELC and bring him in and see if he can kind of slide into that second kind of pairing where you're maybe running the second power play. If Jack Thompson's running the first power play, Luca Cagnoni's running your second power play. He's kind of that next guy in line. So then when Jack Thompson goes up, Luca Cagnoni can kind of take over as the main offensive defenseman, right? And you kind of keep rolling this process, which is good, right? You want to see these guys grow and develop. And I'm excited about where the Sharks blue line is going. Like I said, I was really excited about the Jack Thompson trade when the Sharks acquired him. I think he has got some potential here. He scored his first goal for the Barracuda the other week over the weekend. And I think, again, coming into camp and kind of knowing you're going to be the guy, I think is going to kind of set him up to succeed this year. And I think the Barracuda will, again, we're a long way to see kind of where the Barracuda land and how this blue line shakes out. But that they potentially have some really interesting pieces, right? If Gannon Larocque can kind of rebound from his injury, Artem Gyr brings that physical presence. If Jack Thompson, Luca Cagnoni can kind of be your offensive guys, there's a lot of really fun, exciting young players here who I think can kind of continue to step into these roles as the Sharks are, looking for that number one defenseman. Maybe not, I don't know if any of these guys are number one defenseman quality, but I think they can be really good pieces for you heading, as you continue this rebuild process. So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow, have a fun draft profile scheduled for tomorrow. So if things fall apart and something changes, my bad, but scheduled fun draft profile scheduled for you for tomorrow. So make sure you guys are following along for that. You can follow wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.